I want to talk to you today about sacred relationship. And I want to talk about what that really means beyond the fantasy of finding the right person. So most people say they want a partner who matches them, someone they enjoy being with, someone who supports them, someone to walk alongside them in this life. Great goals. These are fabulous. But what many people are unconsciously searching for is not a partner who matches their values or their vision. They're actually searching for someone who can regulate what they don't know how to regulate yet. That they haven't learned how to regulate themselves. So they're looking for someone to complete them, to be their other half. What that really means is to stabilize the parts of life that still feel overwhelming or unresolved. And that's not sacred relationship. That's nervous system outsourcing. So if you want sacred relationships, sacred love begins in the nervous system. From a physiological standpoint, we don't bond through words or intention. We bond through co-regulation. So our nervous system is constantly scanning for safety, consistency, capacity, emotional availability. And when two people come together who are regulated and have coherent nervous system states, something very different will happen in that relationship. Because in that relationship, love doesn't feel frantic and desire doesn't feel so urgent. Doesn't mean we don't have some deep or strong connections, but it doesn't feel destabilizing. Sacred love is not the kind of love that asks one person to abandon themselves to maintain the bond. It's not a love where one partner does all of the emotional, mental, and physical labor for both people. It is love that meets regulation with regulation. Then you and me, we become a we that's stronger than the sum of our two parts. One person isn't getting torn down in order to maintain somebody else's needs. And it's not abusive where one person is being belittled and really torn apart and losing their sense of self, where they become even less than themselves. What we want is a you and a me and a we, not a me and what you can give me, and not a relationship where one person needs to dominate, control, and abuse the other in order to feel big, powerful, and strong, leaving this person depleted, deflated, and hollow. So when we're looking at relationships and when they fall apart, it's often because one person has grown and the other has not. In my clinical work, I see this pattern over and over and over. Two people begin in relative nervous system coherence. Then one person grows emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually. They expand their capacity, and the other person does not. The other person says, this is just who I am. It's how I've always been. It's the way it is. And they do not grow and expand. When they don't grow their capacity, what happens next is not a failure of love. It's a mismatch of nervous system readiness. One partner can now tolerate more intimacy, responsibility, truth, and depth, and the other person cannot. And rather than meeting in growth, and meeting growth with growth, the unregulated nervous system often responds with belittling, dismissal, chronic arguing, complaining, tearing each other down, emotional or psychological aggression, even physical aggression, not because the person is evil, but because an unregulated system experiences the other person's power as threat. This is a big piece for the divine masculine and divine feminine when we talk about sacred sexuality. So let's clarify something. The divine feminine is not weakness, passivity, emotional excess, as it's often shamed and labeled. She is receptive. She's creativity, intuition, and embodied wisdom. And the divine masculine, as it's often characterized, is not dominance, control, or emotional shutdown, or a lack of vulnerability. He is structure, presence, protection, and containment. A regulated divine masculine system does not try to shrink the feminine. He creates more safety so she can expand within it. And protection is not ownership, it's capacity. It's the ability to remain steady when emotion arises in either partner and to stay present when vulnerability appears. It's holding space without fixing, silencing, or overpowering another. And the divine feminine, when sovereign, does not collapse into dependency. She brings vitality, eros, creativity, and truth into the field. not as performance, but as an essence. So when we look at the science of erotic coherence and simultaneous orgasm from a physiological perspective, deep intimacy happens when heart rhythms synchronize. And when the heart will synchronize with another, breathing patterns will align because those two are connected in us. Nervous systems enter into a shared coherent state. And this is why simultaneous orgasm, when it occurs naturally, is not about performance. It's about timing, attunement, and shared regulation. It's two bodies that can reach peak arousal together because neither is rushing. Neither is dissociating, neither is overriding their own sensations to please the other. It emerges from a mutual presence and not from pressure. Sacred sexuality is not intensity for intensity's sake, although sometimes intensity is there. It is eros guided by awareness. When we're looking at relationships where we don't have that connection, we don't have that attunement, power can become exploitation. And many people say they want a powerful, individuated partner. But power requires capacity to hold power. And when someone is not regulated enough to be in relationship with another sovereign, powerful being, they unconsciously may shame their partner, dismiss their needs, minimize their successes. They weaponize vulnerability. This is not love. It's an attempt to feel powerful by making another person feel small. And healthy, regulated people do not stay where their vitality is being drained. Eventually, that dynamic will turn into resentment, and then you'll see separation. And people, you see it happen, and then they go on their own paths. So let's talk a little bit about what sacred relationship actually looks like. Because it's not perfection. Sacred relationship is mutual responsibility. It is both partners showing up as powerful, individuated beings. They're both willing to be vulnerable. They're willing to take turns being the strong one or the supported one. There's flexibility in the roles. There is safety for mistakes. And there's room to grow and to make mistakes and to fail without punishment. The relationship becomes a psychologically safe container where nervous systems can rest, repair, and expand. Sacred relationships provide nourishment that is emotional, physical, sexual, relationship oriented. They don't give each other their leftovers. They protect their time, energy, and presence for the bond. It is primary. They stay curious about each other and they ask questions years into the relationship because they're constantly learning about each other over and over and over. And when stress appears, they notice it early as they can. And they notice it as quickly as they can before blame and projection take over. So they're not dumping their baggage onto their partner. And when we look at all of this, embodied sovereignty and an embodied gnosis or knowledge is the core of being in a sacred relationship. It's the ability to feel deeply without collapsing and to love fully without disappearing or negating yourself. It has that desire, but not desperation. And in embodied gnosis, it teaches us this. You will not attract what you idealize. You will attract what your nervous system can sustain. Sacred relationship is not found. It is entered by two regulated, willing, present humans who choose to protect the bond they are building together. And when that happens, love stops being something you chase and it becomes something you inhabit. If you are looking for more support and help around these topics, I know they can feel kind of big and maybe overwhelming if you've never heard them before, or they might be confusing if you understand them kind of, but not sure how to get there. You don't have those templates in your life that you've been able to observe and learn from. Reach out to us. We can help you. We help people like you every day become the best version of them at studiob.life, or you can reach me at stacyRD.com. If this stuff is something you would like someone else to understand or know, please like the video so that others can find us, subscribe to the channel, or make sure that you tell us in the comments what you would like to hear more of, or how you've found a way to make your nervous system regulated and strong so that you and your partner can really be in this sacred relationship together, both embodied and both also sovereign. the more we can share how to do that, the more our community learns how to do that from each other. And we all need role models. We all need other people's ideas and ways that they've been successful for us to be successful too. That's part of sharing who we are and being vulnerable and growing as a society together. So if all this sounds good to you, please reach out and have a lovely day. Be well.